Welcome to Speaking of Adoption, where we dive into the heart of adoption, sharing real stories, breaking down myths, and shining a light on how adoption can be done with love, integrity, and respect. Whether you're a birth parent, adoptive family, adoptee, or just someone who wants to learn more, this is a space for honest conversations and meaningful connections. Join us as we explore the beautiful, complex, and life-changing world of ethical adoption. Let's get started. Hey, you guys. Okay, I think this episode is going to be really cool because in a previous episode, we heard from Heidi, a birth mom who placed many years ago. And today I'm so grateful to continue that conversation by hearing from Alexandrea, her daughter. I think this episode gives space to her experience, offering listeners a deeper, more complete understanding of what adoption can mean across a lifetime. Adoption stories are very layered. They hold love, loss, choice, and identity often all at once. And I am just so thrilled to be able to talk to the other end of this conversation. So let's get started and welcome Alex to our podcast. Okay, cool. Well, I'm so excited to have you today and that you're willing to come and share your story. Your birth mom, Heidi, spoke so highly of you. And so I'm so excited to hear your perspective. It's kind of unique to have both sides here. So I think that's so cool. So I'm excited. Yeah. So for people listening who don't know you, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm 23. I am an oldest child, so I have two younger siblings
Okay.
that I grew up with. And then I do lashes and brows. I do facials too. So I went to cosmetology school right after high school,
Okay, cool.
and got licensed in that. And I'm a basic esthetician also.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's just my job. I love doing all of like that type of self-care stuff. Just helping people feel good about themselves and just feel confident. So
I love that.
I also do trainings with that, which is super fun. So I've
Okay.
learned to just the whole training side of things, and being an instructor has been really fun to be able to teach and like give people the different types of things I wish I learned in school.
Mm.
So yeah, because I went to cosmetology school, I didn't learn very much about lashes and brows, which is what I was really wanting to do. And so I'm glad that I get to do that for other students now.
That's so cool. That's actually, I have a 17-year-old daughter and she wants to do something along that line, like esthetician school or something. So maybe I'll have to give her your information.
For sure. It's so fun. I love doing that. And
That's cool.
it's really cool because Utah has kind of changed up their licensing.
Yeah.
So it requires less hours and
Okay.
it makes it more affordable and more accessible for students that don't want to go to school for over a year. So
Oh, okay. That's really cool. I didn't know that. All good
yeah.
information. I'll have to pass on to her.
Yeah, so I own my own business doing that.
Oh, cool.
Um, I worked at a salon for a few years and then I ended up starting my own business a little over a year ago.
That's
So
awesome.
that's been really fun.
Congratulations. That's a lot of
Thank
work.
you.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's fun. Growing up, I was very like always wanting to be successful or like kind of driven towards that. Like I always did little fundraiser sales like for dance or different things. And so I was always like the little sales girl
Mhm.
type of.
Entrepreneur. You had that
Yes.
entrepreneur in you
Yeah.
from a young age.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And you grew
Um,
up in Utah, right?
mhm.
So
Yeah.
you have two younger siblings. Are they adopted as well?
So my brother, who's 2 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
he's adopted.
Okay.
And then we have a sister who is 2 years after that. So I'm 4 years older than her.
Okay.
And she is the only biological
Okay.
child.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit like what you know about your adoption story.
Yeah. Um, so I have always known growing up
Okay.
that I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And it wasn't really like a weird thing to me. Like it was just very normal growing up, and being able to, I don't know, kind of like tell people about that was just normal. Like that was just something I knew. And we would always, my parents would always talk to us about, because like my brother being adopted too, so they would talk to both of us, but we would have different books that we would, grow up reading, like just different books about adoption. And um,
So
they would
what
always tell us their adoption story.
so sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
Yeah,
what was
you're good.
that like what was that language that they used? Would they call her Heidi? Would they call her your birth mom? Would they call her like what language
Yeah,
did they use from a young age?
I think from a young age we didn't use her name.
Okay.
Um, it was just easier to say like birth mom.
Yeah.
So they never really used the verbiage like biological
Yeah.
mom or bio mom. It was always just birth mom. And I think that was easier growing up because it's like, oh, I came from birth, like from her.
Mm,
So I don't know if that was just like a personal thing that they just decided to use and stick with it, but I did like that they stuck with like one thing. And so we always knew like birth mom, that was what we referred to, or birth dad.
yeah.
Um, and then when I was a little bit older, that's when like I learned her name, and then we would refer to her as Heidi, or we would say like Heidi, your birth mom,
Hmm.
because there's so many Heidis, and my mom had lots of friends, and so we had to like make sure we knew which one we were talking
Yeah.
about.
Did you grow up seeing like pictures of her or anything?
Um, kind of. I first met her when I was either 5 or 6.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't really remember a ton about that. And so I hadn't really seen any pictures of her before then. And I think we took a picture together
Hmm.
um, on that day that I first met her. But it wasn't really like around the house or anything like that. Like I didn't really have it where I could just always go back and look at it.
Yeah.
Um, so growing up, I didn't really see a lot of pictures. I think, and then I met her again when I was like 13, and we took some more pictures together. So when I saw any pictures of her, it was typically like a picture of her and me together that we had taken
Hmm.
at some time that we had met each other.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell us about, you kind of mentioned really briefly that you met her when you were 5, right? Tell us
Yeah.
about that. I mean, 5 is like, I don't know how much memory you have there, but what do you remember, if anything?
So it's kind of weird. I think memories are weird sometimes because sometimes I get in my head and I'm like, did that actually happen? Or was that like a
Hmm.
memory or like a dream? I have very real, vivid dreams. So sometimes that would confuse me growing up because I didn't know if that actually had happened or not.
Hmm.
Um, but with meeting Heidi, it was like I kind of knew that she was my birth mom, but being that age, you don't really understand. So all I really knew is like we're meeting this friend at a park,
Mm.
and I'm pretty sure her mom was there,
Oh.
and she had just given birth to her daughter.
Hmm.
And so I think her daughter was like maybe a year old,
Okay.
or maybe not even a year old, because I'm 5 years older than her. So like still like a pretty young baby.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to a restaurant and we were like eating pasta. And I think my favorite food at the time was spaghetti. Like that was just, it was my favorite. And so I had asked Heidi if she liked spaghetti. And she was like, oh, I like it, but not with the red sauce. I like it with the white sauce.
Hmm.
And I guess I don't really remember this a ton, but they told me that when we had ordered our food, I said that I wanted spaghetti with the white sauce, and I didn't
Aw.
want. And so I think I knew like there was some connection there, and there was like somehow I'm connected to this person, but I just didn't fully understand that. And so in a way, I kind of like wanted to be like her, and I thought that was cool. And I remember her having her daughter, and I was like, "Is this your baby? Like you seem young to have a baby." We're like being like, "That's weird. Like how do you have a baby?"
Yeah.
Um, and that was it. So I don't really remember a ton from it, but it
Yeah.
was just like fun,
Hmm.
funny
That's
memories from
sweet
it.
that you wanted to bond with her, but you didn't even really know why. You
Yeah,
just kind of had that like instinct in you, maybe a little bit.
yeah.
So as you got older, what were some of like your emotions or questions you had for yourself or for your parents about being adopted?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird because I knew growing up, but it didn't mean like I didn't have questions about it.
Yeah.
I was a very curious kid, and I think I always just wanted to know more once I was old enough to kind of understand it a little bit more. And I remember, I think I was like maybe 12 when I started asking more questions. Um, just, asking questions to my mom. And I think a lot of that too came from like in school, we were starting to do like all of the genealogy stuff and the biology stuff and like learning about your blood and like okay
Mhm.
what blood type do your parents have and how that relates to you. Like there was a lot of that going on, I think, at that age. And so I became more curious because I didn't know
Yeah.
very much about my biological things. um and so I wanted to kind of like ask about that, and I remember always asking about my blood type and like, oh, like, where do I get my green eyes from?
Mhm.
Because to me, growing up, both of my parents had blue eyes. Um, and so that was always something too that I'm like, everybody in my family has blue eyes. Like even my two younger siblings, they both have blue eyes too.
Mhm.
So I was the only one in the family that had green eyes. And it was like I knew that I had, I was born from somebody else, but it was still kind of feeling like a little left out that everybody in the family looked, blue eyes, blonde hair, and I'm over here with green eyes, brown hair, and it was just a little bit of a different thing. So I became more curious around that age. And then that's when, um, so my parents were divorced. They got divorced when I was, I think I was 7.
Okay.
And so once they split up and were divorced, we were living with my mom. She had full custody, and we would visit my dad kind of on the weekends and stuff. Um, so I think also being a child from divorce was kind of getting all mixed up in adoption as well. So I think there was
Mhm.
like lots of situations that I was just feeling like not normal,
Mhm.
essentially. All
Mhm.
of my friends,
You weren't a
their
typical looking family.
home. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And so we had just gotten back. This is when I was 13 from being with my dad for the weekend. And my mom was like, okay, like we gotta get dressed. We gotta, let's do your hair. We're gonna go to the park and meet some family members and meet some like friends. And I was like, why is this such a big deal? Like, why are you so stressed out? And I'm just being like the teenager, like, why are we going to a park to meet people?
Oh,
Like, what is this for?
she didn't tell you
I
who you
didn't
were
know.
meeting?
So she told me kind of right before we left to go, and she sat me down and she was like, hey, so these like family friends that we're gonna go meet, it's your birth mom. And I was like, what? Why? What are you talking about? Like that makes no sense. And it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, what do you mean it's my birth mom? And because the last time I had seen her was when I was 5. So I hadn't seen her since then. And my mom, because I was so curious about things and I was asking her all these questions, I guess Heidi had been talking with my mom. Like they had come up with, this idea of like, hey, we're going
Mm.
to be in town when we meet. And so anyways, after like the shock, I felt fine with meeting her. And I was like, okay, like this is really scary, but sure. Like, when am I going to get to do this again? Um,
Did you feel
and then
like were you like okay with that, or do you wish you would have had like more prep time, or do you think that was like intentional that she did it that way for you?
yeah, I feel like both. Like, I think if I would have known for a longer period of time, I maybe would have psyched myself out and I
More
would have
anxious about
said,
it.
no, I don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I would have gotten scared and been like, I can't do it. And
Mm,
then I think later on I might have regretted that. Like I probably would have like I'm glad overall that I got to see her then.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think there was a reason why my mom waited until closer to it
Hmm.
because knowing me, like I would be too scared and like chicken out basically. Um,
Yeah, that's interesting.
it
So,
was very anxious and like scary, but I'm glad that we still did it.
yeah. So, before we talk about you meeting her again, I want to
Mhm.
know how your mom or your dad or whoever you were asking these questions to, like, how did they handle that? Were they like pretty open to you asking questions, or how would that go?
Yeah. They were always very open with it. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm just grateful that in general they were open with a lot of things. So like growing up, that was very open and natural.
Oh,
And
good.
it wasn't like a shameful thing or a secret. Like we're not gonna, oh, we can't tell our neighbors or our friends that you're adopted. Like it wasn't anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like you see that like in movies and TV shows or like kids that never knew growing up and they find out later on and it's a whole thing. So I was very grateful that that was all very open. And then when the time came that I was asking more questions about it and like wanting to know more, my mom was very open about that too.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
she always tried to tell me like as much as she knew about either like birth mom, birth dad. She told me I would often ask about my birth story, like the adoption process of that. Um, and she was very open about that. And the nice thing too was it was age appropriate conversations. So like what she would say, she was aware of like maybe not getting into little details or
Mm-hmm.
like very emotional things that I didn't need to take on at that age. And
Mm, I
so
love
that
that.
helped to have a healthier relationship with it and be like, it's okay to be curious and
Mm,
not feel dumb because I'm like wondering different things about myself or like whether that was inherited or different things like that. So I was very grateful that that was very open. Um, she never made me feel bad for wanting to know. And there were times too, I would almost feel guilty for asking because I didn't want her to feel like I wasn't happy that she adopted me or like that I wasn't grateful that, you know, for the life that I was given. Like that was so that was a little tricky is I wanted to like help her feelings and know that like no, this doesn't mean that I'm, you know, that I'm not happy that I grew up with you. Like I'm very happy for that,
I
but I'm
think
just curious.
I think a lot of adoptees carry that. I think probably most adoptees carry that. They just want to protect their adoptive parents almost, but you still have that
Yeah.
natural desire to know where you came from, you
Yeah.
know? But thankfully, I mean, things have changed a lot in adoption through the last 10, 20, 30 years, where we now know that it's like better for everyone to be more open about that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's not like a dig at adoptive parents. It's just like honoring where they came from before they came to
Mm.
you. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had that, because a lot of people don't. But
Yeah.
what do
Well, and
you
I feel
think?
like
Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I feel like it's normal too for the adoptive parents to be scared to
Yeah.
tell their kids because I think there's always that like small fear. And me and my mom have been very open about this conversation, but later on when I became older, she told me that like she's always had this like little fear of like, what if Heidi wants to come back and like take you
Mhm.
or you know, like different or like what if you wanted to go live with her and like have a life with her because
Mm,
you didn't have that. So like there's always like that fear and I just knew that I was meant to be with her, like I was meant to be in the family that I was raised in and I think that helped. So I think overall there's going to be some insecurities
yeah.
on all sides of things, but just being open about it and like being real about it is what helped a lot.
That's so great. I'm so glad you had that with your mom, that you guys could, that she could express that to you and
Yeah.
you could express those things to her. That's so great. What do you think parents of adoptive kids like should know about supporting identity and curiosity and like those big feelings?
Um, yes. So I think just trying to be as open as possible. Try not to hide it from your kid and have it be like a shameful thing. But just know that like they're gonna be curious no matter what. Whether they grew up in a very stable home with everything they could have given, like anything like that, like they're still gonna be curious. And I think that's very natural. Um, Even if they have a very, very close relationship with their birth parents or they have no idea about them, like they're gonna be curious about that. So I think just learning to embrace that
Yeah.
and knowing that's not a bad thing. Like it should be a good thing to be curious. Um, and not like I don't want to say that like it's not that you need to be fair in a way of like to me I'm like, well, my parents get to know about their history
Mm,
and where they came from and their blood and all of that. So like it's not fair for me if I don't get to know that. I felt like that a little bit growing up. So I don't know, like try to make it fair. I don't think that's the right word necessarily, but just trying to help them. Like if you get to know that growing up, like you should want your child to get to know that.
yeah,
And
I
that
love
doesn't
that.
mean that you're any less of their parent. Like you still raise
Yeah, I love that. So let's jump back to when you went to the park when you were 12.
them. Yes.
So tell us about that. What was that like connecting with Heidi? Because then you were old enough to, really know what was going on compared to when you were 5.
Yeah. It was very exciting and very nerve-wracking um, meeting her for the first time. But it was weird because it was like I immediately got emotional and I was confused because I'm like, why am I emotional? Like it was just such a weird thing that like my nervous system and my body just like started reacting and that my brain couldn't wrap I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Um, but so like it was cool because we sat at the park and we talked for a while and she asked me like just different things about myself. What's going on with school? What's going on with I was dancing at the time. My mom's a dance teacher and so growing up like I was dancing since I was like 2.
Mhm.
So that was always that was like a very big part of my life and I think I just really liked that she was taking an interest in me and she like actually wanted to know about my life. Um but it wasn't like in a negative way or anything like that. Like it was always positive, like this is a positive thing that, I placed you and that it didn't feel um I don't know, it didn't feel like regretful or anything like that, which I think helped me have the security that I needed to
Yeah.
be like this was where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Um and then it was fun because I got to meet her husband. And he's always been very like accepting of me. He's
Mhm.
been very accepting. Like he always, even though like I'm technically not related to him, he's never made me feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know if you
So,
listened to her episode or not, but
mhm,
she mentioned that. She said he loves her like his own. Like he just
yeah,
embraced her like she was one of his. So that's so sweet. And
yeah,
then she
that's
had
something.
little kids. Did she
Little
bring her
kids,
kids with her when you guys met?
yeah,
Okay. How
yeah.
was
So
that?
she brought them. That was fun. I think they were still maybe a little too young to like fully understand it, and even
Yeah.
like my two younger siblings didn't really understand it a ton either. Um,
Did you understand
like
it? Were you like, are these my siblings? Or like, did you have
kind of.
questions about that?
Yeah, I knew that I was like related to them, but I didn't really see them as like siblings
Yeah.
yet. That was more later on when I
Okay.
started to kind of feel a little bit more like that. But yeah, it was fun to see them and we like just all played at the park and another really cool thing actually that Heidi did was so all of my birthdays growing up, I've always received a present
Hmm.
from her and she always like would sign it like your friend Heidi or like
Hmm.
different things like that. And that always made me feel like very special. And
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
always looked forward to that for for my birthday or for Christmas, I'd be like, my mom was like, "Oh, you got a present from your birth mom Heidi," and I'd be so
Aw.
excited. And so actually at the park, she brought me like a little present. And what
Mm.
she did was she got gifts for my sister and my brother so they didn't feel left out. And I'm
Oh.
like, that's so sweet. And I think that helped too, because my brother being adopted, he doesn't have the same birth story, anything close to mine.
Hmm.
Um, he doesn't know his birth mom or has that relationship. And I think that was really hard for him growing up. And so that was also part of the reason why I kind of struggled with like wanting to have a super close relationship with her younger growing up because I didn't want to make my brother feel left out.
Mm.
So that was just a really cool thing that like Heidi brought gifts for both of them and it was like we're like all meeting and this isn't, just about Alex, like it's about all of us coming together. So
That is so sweet. So thoughtful and intentional of her to do that.
yeah.
That is really sweet. So, where did things go from there after meeting her when you were 12? Did
Yeah.
you have like a relationship with her after that?
Yeah. So we took some pictures at the park.
Mhm.
Pretty much anytime we saw her, we always took pictures.
Mhm.
And those pictures, I had like a little iPod Touch at the time. And so I had them on my iPod and I went and showed all my friends. I was like,
Aw.
look at who I got to meet. Like, this is my birth mom. And again, we're like in junior high. Nobody really knows what's going on at that age. We're like trying to understand it, but they were like, you look like her. Like, this
Aw.
is like, wow, like who is this? And so that was a cool thing. And then pretty much we tried to see them once a year after that. And communication was always through my mom and Heidi. So I wasn't communicating with Heidi, which I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while, like if Heidi and her family were coming to Utah for something, it was usually like something was already going on, so they were coming out here, and we would try to see them, or they would make a trip specifically to come out and see us. Um, and they were living in Washington State at the time, and so they would reach out to my mom and my mom would say like, hey, like that's great, let's try and get together on this day or whatever. And so it would usually be like an all day thing. We would meet up, we would go bowling or go ice skating, like just random activities. So it was nice because it took the pressure off of like just like sitting there and talking. Like we got to do fun things all together with her
Yeah.
kids, and then maybe like we would come back to like our house and play games for a little bit or different
Aw.
things. So we did that about once a year, every year. Um, Sometimes it was like twice a year. When my mom got remarried, I was 15,
Mhm.
and so I remember Heidi came out for that.
Oh.
And that time it was just her, like the kids stayed home. Um, but that was really fun to like have her there for all of the wedding stuff, and so we got to see her like a couple days when all of that was going down. Um, and I actually got to meet her brother for the first time. So this was the first time I had met extended family.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was the only brother that was living in Utah. Everybody else was kind of just across the states. So that
What
was, that was
what kind of like emotions were you navigating every time you would see her? Like, were there any big emotions? Was it heavy for you every time, or what was that like?
yeah, I feel like there was a lot of emotions. I'm naturally a more emotional person.
Mhm.
So there was always crying every time. And it was usually at the end. There was kind of this sadness of like when we would be done with our hangout and like leaving. Um, and just because I knew that it was going to be a while before I had seen her again,
Yeah.
before I would see her. And sometimes I didn't know, like, okay, like, are we going to see each other again?
Yeah.
Or, different things like that. Um, so there's a lot of sadness, but I feel like it was very exciting too. Like it was just fun to see this person that I had things in common with.
Yeah.
And she knew things about my birth that my parents didn't know, or like, like there was like little things like that. So I think every time I saw her, I always had these questions ready to ask
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
And then I would just ask her all these questions about like how she grew up or my birth story or my birth dad or just different lots of different questions I always had for her. And so it was fun because I got to answer a
Yeah,
lot of those
for
questions.
sure. That's so
So
awesome.
it felt very exciting for that.
Is there
Um,
anything that surprised you the most connecting with her?
um, yeah, I think trying to figure out what she was to me
Hmm.
was really surprising. So I didn't like she wasn't my mom.
Yeah.
I didn't want to call her mom.
You didn't know where to place her.
Um, yeah, but it felt weird. Like she almost felt like a special aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what I had in my mind for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of that relationship and just yeah, kind of like referring to her. Like I told her that. I was like, you kind of feel like a special aunt. Like you're more than just like a friend, but you're not like my mom. And so I think that was surprising to me is like it just I didn't really know what to think of her. And then one day it just hit me and I was like, oh, you're kind of like an aunt. Like we'll just stick with that. Like you're my aunt and I feel like I have a special connection with you.
Yeah.
Um, but there's still boundaries there. Like it's still I'm not gonna call you mom or and it wasn't like it's not like a personal thing. It's not like I don't know. Like I knew she was like a mother figure, but I didn't even call like my stepmom growing up. I didn't even call her mom because to me that felt like I was betraying my own mom, and I think I didn't want my mom to feel like that at all. So I think it also just helped me knowing growing up like the difference between them, and so it helped me be less confused.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any advice you would give other adoptees who might be like considering connecting with their birth families?
Yes. So I feel like this one's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Um, I had to learn growing up. I was in therapy as a teenager, and
Hmm.
this was part of the reason was just to help me be able to um, see adoption as like a positive thing. Because I think being a teenager and growing up with just different things, like being a teenager in general is just hard, no matter
Yeah.
how you grew up. But
Yeah.
it's just
For
hard.
the average person.
High school is hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I I struggled with kind of the negative things of that, of like kids making different comments about like, I don't know, just adoption because people don't see it or, just mentioning like, well, don't you want to meet your real parents or like, why don't you call them mom or like, like just different curiosity questions.
Yeah.
And I don't fault anyone. Like they were,
Mhm.
kids just like me. So it's like, it makes sense and people are just curious. And so when when I was doing therapy, like something that really helped me is I really struggled with trying to take care of my mom's feelings and trying to take care of Heidi's feelings. And not that they necessarily put those like on me, but I felt a sort of responsibility to take care of both of their emotional needs and not wanting to hurt their feelings. And I think that was really hard because I wanted to know more, but I had to be careful and like not, hurt anybody's feelings. So the advice that my therapist gave me at the time was she's like, you are the child in this situation. Um, and like, yeah, there's different circumstances where maybe you had to grow up and be a little more responsible than your peers, but you're the child and it's not your responsibility to take care of either of them. And that was something that's like stuck with me. And so I think that's kind of the advice I would give, whether you have a relationship with your birth parents or you're wanting that, just knowing like it's probably going to be emotional and it'll be confusing. And not every adoption story is the same. Like no one's story is going to be the exact same. And so just like having patience with yourself and knowing that when you feel those emotions, that's normal and like to feel them, but also to not like dwell on them, essentially. Like let yourself be able to feel those, but know that it's not your responsibility to take all of that on. You can also just focus on yourself without having to worry about birth parents or adoptive parents or anything like that.
I love that. And I think I mean I said earlier, like I think that's a pretty like common emotion for adoptees to carry.
Hmm.
And so I'm so glad you said that, and hopefully someone's listening that will hear that.
Yeah.
Um, and therapy also so important for
Yeah.
everyone, but especially adoptees who carry such heavy emotions like that that aren't supernatural for little kids to hold. Um, so I love that. Thanks for saying that. Um,
Yeah.
what has been some of the most healing parts for you?
I think knowing that Heidi has always wanted to be in my life has been very healing for me, especially. And like I mentioned before, my brother doesn't have that same relationship with his birth mom, and
Yeah,
so I am very grateful that I have that relationship.
yeah,
Um, and I just need to remind myself sometimes, like I'm very lucky to have that because not a lot of adoption stories are similar to ours, where like you have this, reuniting and you have like a relationship, and now with all of the extended family and everything. Um, so I think that helped a lot is just like knowing that that was special and it was different in that way. Um, and having Heidi kind of always be the one to like make an effort of like, hey, like I want to see Alex, or like when can we hang out again, or
yeah,
like she was very interested in my life,
mm,
and I think that helped
for
younger me
sure.
like feel like I wasn't a mistake, or like
Hmm.
like I was wanted.
Yeah,
Because I think those are normal emotions, like you might feel being adopted too, is just the natural like, oh, like I wasn't planned, or mistake, or not wanting, or being abandoned, or like different things like that. And so it helped me remember that logically, like that wasn't the case. And she was just trying to do what was best for me. And so having that relationship with her helped me like heal that younger version, if that makes sense.
for sure. Is there anything specific that you can think of that you appreciate or admire about Heidi?
I think always keeping boundaries was really big.
That's awesome.
Um,
There's
yeah, and
no
not like,
handbook. There's no handbook out there of what those boundaries are and how to navigate that, but it does sound like from my interaction with her, it sounds like she very naturally knew those boundaries, which is really
yeah.
impressive. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, and I think the thing is everyone's boundaries are going to be different too.
Yeah.
So just finding what works for the adoptive parents, the birth parents, and the child. And so I think what worked great for us that I really appreciated was that the communication was just through my mom and Heidi. And what I appreciated is that if I wasn't ready to have one-on-one communication with Heidi or different things, because there would be times where she would ask for it, like, hey, can I get just Alex's number, or like different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that I could tell my mom, like, no, I'm not ready for that. And she was able to convey that to Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that Heidi was willing to accept that. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like, okay, I'm done then. Like, you're
Yeah.
not like, it was just like, hey, I understand that. And maybe at some point we'll get there. And it
Yeah.
was just very understanding. It wasn't like she was completely done with the relationship and it was like end all be all. Like I really appreciated that. And she gave me time and patience. And then eventually, when I was ready to have that one on one communication with her or hang out with her one on one, then then I was able to do that. And it felt more natural instead of
Yeah.
forceful.
Well, and that probably helped your like inner monologue of wanting to protect her and protect your, like what we've talked about, like holding both of their emotions, like her being okay with your boundaries probably helped that struggle inside
Yeah,
you, So that's so
for sure.
awesome. That's really big of her. That's great.
Yeah.
Um so um where does your relationship stand now after you guys, well, you said that you meet like yearly, and she asked to have direct contact and you weren't ready for that. So where do things stand now with you guys?
Yeah. So when I think I was like, I moved out right after high school when I was 18. So it was like during COVID is when I graduated.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and I remember like when I moved out and I was on my own and it was like so exciting. That's kind of around the same time that she wanted to have more of that like one-on-one contact.
Okay.
Um, because when you turn 18, so technically our adoption was like, it wasn't like fully closed because
Yeah.
my mom and Heidi weren't in communication.
Yeah.
But to me, I describe it as like it wasn't fully open either because I wasn't the one like fully communicating with her.
Yeah.
Um,
Semi open.
and so yeah, it was like
Yeah.
semi-open. And so she, around that time of like being 18, she had like asked for that. And I feel like I remember being like, I'm not ready yet.
Hmm.
And so I believe I was 19. So like I had waited kind of a year. And I also think like a lot of things in life were happening at that point. Like I was moving out, I was on my own, I was going to cosmetology school. And so there were so many things that I was like, I don't want to add one more thing
Mm,
on my plate right now. Like I just want to like enjoy this and be like a normal 18-year-old without having to like
navigate that.
navigate that.
Yeah.
And I also thought in my head, like, once I get Heidi's number, like she won't stop texting me. Like I feel like I'm gonna have to like constantly text her back, like
Hmm.
and she's gonna get upset like my friends do if I don't respond right away. Or
Mm,
like I almost like had that expectation. And so I was like, I can't
yeah.
do
Well, it's
that.
a heavy relationship, so
Mhm.
that makes sense that was what you would
Yeah.
assume it would be like. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was ready for that at 19, um, it was funny because Heidi actually had that conversation with me and she's like, I want you to know I'm not gonna text you every day. And she's like, just be like, just every once in a while we can check in or like we can FaceTime. And like, I just want you to know I'm not gonna like do basically everything that I was thinking was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah.
that helped me too. Um, there was a part when I was 17. She actually wanted me to FaceTime her parents a couple times.
Mm,
And I remember telling her, I was like, I'm not ready for that. Like I feel weird about FaceTiming these people that I've never met.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
and like your parents and everything. And so she was very respectful of that. Um, and when it was either 19 or 20, I met her parents for the first time. So that was the first family that I had met besides her brother,
Yeah.
the previous years. And so they came out just themselves. And
Wow.
then and we all hung out like at my parents' house and we played games and we just like talked, and that's when I learned that she is an artist and loved painting growing up, and like that has been something that I have always loved doing is all of the art projects and very like all the creative crafts, all of those things. Like I love doing that. Um so yeah, that was really fun and I was really grateful that the first time we met them was in person
Yeah.
and it wasn't through FaceTime. Um and it just felt like very organic and very natural. Um And then they did get to meet my now fiance too, my boyfriend.
Aw.
So we have been together for 5 years,
Mm,
um, and we recently got engaged. So it's been really cool because he's been there for all of the development of like having
yeah.
a relationship with Heidi and then meeting her parents and then like kind of all of that. He's been a part of it, which has been really cool. So after we met like her parents, then the next year is when we decided to do a big family reunion,
So
which
cool.
is so crazy.
Yeah.
When I tell people about that, they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, oh, that was a really cool thing. It was like the summer of the next year, we did a big family reunion, and I think that was a really cool, exciting experience because I was just I was gonna meet all of these people that
Yeah.
I'm related to.
Yeah. How
Um,
was that? Was it overwhelming? I mean, I'm sure it was overwhelming.
yeah,
It had to have been.
it was overwhelming. At that point, I felt very good about where me and Heidi were at,
Okay.
and so I was ready to embrace more people.
Mhm. Oh,
Um, it was still overwhelming, but I remember when we were talking about the idea, I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Like, that's exciting. Like, I
yeah,
wanna meet these people. I'm excited." And just being a little bit older too and being able like, I was 20, I think, at the time, and so being able to, like, just having a little bit more maturity, helped with that, and so and it was nice that I already knew her parents, and I already knew 1 brother,
yeah.
because she's got a lot of siblings. So driving up, we went to Bear Lake, and I was really anxious. I was glad it was like my mom, my stepdad, my sister, and then my boyfriend. And so that was nice that I had him there for just like that support
For sure.
because I'm able to talk to him in ways that I maybe couldn't talk to my mom
For sure.
about the adoption stuff. So we all went up to Bear Lake, and I remember we rented this big house, and so when we pulled up, everybody was just like standing there. And it was like this
Aw.
big
They were
and I
like
was like,
waiting to greet you.
yeah. And
Aw.
so I just went up and just like hugged everyone like over and over again. Everybody's
Aw.
crying.
Aw.
I could feel like hugging them, like we're like shaking, and it was just a lot of emotions, and it was a really cool experience like being there and knowing that everybody wanted to have a relationship with me.
Yeah,
Like
that's
we were there for
special.
me, and it was weird because I'm like, this is just a regular family reunion. But yeah, everybody was there for me and like wanted to know more about me. So that was a really
That is amazing.
it was very fun, and it was hard because I had these expectations of like, oh, I need to talk to every single person. Like I
Yeah.
need to make sure everybody knows that I'm interested in talking to them and that like everybody gets that time with me. Um, so it's kind of tricky that way just because we only had so much time and there's so many people. But I think overall, like it was really fun, and we played lots of games together too. And I actually learned that's one of the things that I loved growing up. I loved playing games, like
Hmm.
all the different things, and I learned that they all loved that too. So that was just fun to be able to share similarities with them.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Do you have like relationships with all of them now? I mean, like it's hard to have uh
Yeah.
relationships with a lot of extended family, but
Mhm.
what is that like?
Um, yeah, yeah, for sure. So they all live in different states now.
Yeah.
Um, So I don't like necessarily see them, but
Yeah.
we do have relationships. I have all of their phone numbers. We all follow each other on social
Yeah.
media.
Okay.
Um, we're actually in like a family group chat with them now,
Oh
like
wow.
their
Wow, that's
siblings
awesome.
and yeah. So like it's funny. Like it just feels like a normal, natural extended
Yeah.
family.
Oh.
Um, and that took a little bit too. So like we've now had 2 family reunions with them. So it's just every other year during the summer.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so we had one like year and a half after that, and our upcoming one is this summer.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, I have relationships with them. The one brother that I met at my mom's wedding.
Mhm.
So him and his wife, they actually were living in Provo, Utah at
Mhm.
the time when I was living in Provo.
Oh, okay.
And so that was really cool because they had a daughter. And I would actually go over and like babysit her when they
Oh,
needed. So it was a really cool experience of like being like, oh, like these are technically like my aunt and uncle,
right.
but they're also only like 6 years older than me,
Yeah.
is like some of my step siblings' age. So it's like a weird relationship where I'm like, they like feel like they're like not really my aunt and
Yeah.
uncle because
Yeah.
of how old I am, but it was still fun. Like they have 2 daughters now,
Mm.
and they're so cute. Their oldest that I would babysit all the time. Like we have such a close relationship, and I see her like as my little cousin, and like so
That's awesome.
it's fun to like see all of the little kids and have relationships with those kids too. And knowing that like I'm technically like the oldest grandchild, and so it's fun to just be that where I've never been that. Like in my family I've grown up with, I've always been like the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to cousins, so it was just fun to like have that sort of extended family relationship. And yeah, now we all text every once in a while
I
or
love that.
see different things on social media.
That's
So
amazing. What about Heidi's other kids that she had after she placed you, which we've kind of touched
yeah.
on briefly, but do you have relationships with them?
Yes. So I would say when I was like 17, 18
Hmm.
is more when I started to kind of refer to them as my half siblings.
Okay.
And that was really more to just like my friends or like just like different people in school that just had questions
Yeah.
um and so I it was just easier to
Yeah.
refer to them as my half siblings. And so whenever people would ask in school, they would always be like, "Oh, what's a fun fact about yourself?" I would always say I'm adopted. That was like my number one fun fact.
Yeah.
And anytime people are like, "Oh, how many siblings do you have?" I'm like, "Well, I have two that I grew up with."
Hmm.
And I always use that term because
Yeah.
like not like blood, but they're more than just like, like I'm like they are my siblings,
Hmm.
whether we're related by blood or not. So I have them, and then I would say I have step siblings on both sides, and then I have half siblings because I'm adopted and my birth mom is married and has kids. And so it was just like a fun thing to talk about. And so I started to refer to them as like half siblings kind of around 17, 18. And then, but I didn't really communicate with them because they're also like her oldest is 5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So I tried to be aware of that and like just not, like pushing those boundaries, I guess, and not trying to confuse them because I'm
Yeah.
like at this they're just young kids trying to grow up, right? So at the family reunion is kind of more when we started to have those close relationships. And her daughter is so her name's Kennedy. My sister's name is Olivia,
Hmm.
and they're only a year apart. So it was fun
Oh.
because
Mm.
my sister being 4 years younger than me and then Kennedy being 5 years younger, I could that was easier for me to be able to have that relationship with Kennedy because I knew what was
Yeah.
kind of going on around that age because my sister was going through similar things.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
that was fun. And I think Kennedy was always very interested in um, getting to know me, like
Mm.
kind of like older sister type of
Hmm.
thing. So yeah, we kind of just like slowly had relationships. We'd FaceTime every once in a while with Heidi. And then kind of more at the family reunion is when we connected a little bit more. Um, but again, like the three boys, they weren't really cluing into that or like super interested. Um, so
Typical.
it was like literally, yeah. And, I actually went out and I was like, I think I was maybe 20. This was after, so we do Bear Lake family reunion in the summer,
Hmm.
and then in October, I went out and I actually flew out to see Heidi, and I stayed with them
Oh,
for like a week.
wow.
That was like a huge thing too. So that was my first time doing that by myself. And that was fun because I got to have that time with her kids and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of felt like, oh, like this is like we got to get to know each other without all of these extra people
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
involved. So yeah, that was fun. And then the next family reunion, which was a year and a half ago, um, that was fun too because now they're all older. So the boys are more like interested in getting to know me and they understand it more. And it's like we're in like the fun phase now, I think, where
Yeah.
everybody understands. And so we just keep building on those relationships and it's really fun to have.
That's awesome. Well, I think like even as siblings you grow up with,
Hmm.
um, you enter a new phase of relationship once you become adults. And a lot of the
Yes.
time, like you don't like your siblings growing up, and then you become adults and you're like, oh, let's get to know each other a little bit, like
Yeah.
we kind of like each other now. And so that makes sense that like it took becoming adults. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
adults quite yet, but
Yeah.
just
But they are older now, a little bit
yeah,
more
yeah,
mature, like understanding how things are. So,
yeah. That's
yeah.
so cool. What a cool dynamic. You literally have every dynamic possible with siblings.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
step
It's kind of crazy.
siblings, full siblings, not full siblings.
Yeah.
That's cool. If there were any birth moms listening right now, is there anything that you would want them to hear from an adoptee who's walked this path?
That's so hard.
I know, I'm sorry.
I I feel like if like I think the birth mom should be kind of secure with themselves, with knowing what kind of relationship they want with their birth child. So, whether that means you want to have a closer relationship with them or an open adoption or work your way up to that, or you just know like you can't handle that right now, you're not interested. Um, I think knowing that for yourself before you get the kids like feelings involved essentially like
Mm,
that will help the relationship more. So because Heidi knew that she wanted that open relationship with us and like she wanted to have like to be in my life, um that helped me just like know that it was like okay great like now I get to choose whether or not I want to have that relationship.
yeah.
So I think just having like the birth mom kind of knowing what they want, and obviously things will always change, right? Like feelings can change and maybe you wanted that and then maybe it happens and you're like, "Oh, actually, I don't know." So and just having open communication about that. Um, whether that's through the birth child or through the adoptive parents and just being willing to like have those hard conversations. And then I think also like just give your birth child time
Mm,
to process everything. So if you want to have that relationship and maybe they're not ready for that yet, like just be willing to be patient with them. Um, and just think about like you've probably had more time to process all of these feelings and emotions. You're also older and probably a little bit more mature. Like you've been able to kind of process that a little bit more than your old child or your 17-year-old birth child. Like they are also dealing with all of the other things that kids and teenagers are dealing with at the time. So I think just being able to be patient with them and be loving and being open about communication and just like talking about the story is a really big thing. And just knowing that everyone's story is not the same.
mhm.
So, and
Yeah,
everyone's going to treat it.
yeah, I love that. And I think what you said earlier too about her respecting boundaries is probably pretty difficult for
Mhm.
birth moms who also have that like natural desire to have that relationship with their birth child, and maybe sometimes feel entitled to that.
Yeah.
um but like the most important thing is to respect their boundaries and give them their time, like you said, because and I think I can't remember how Heidi said it, but she said something about that too. Like I knew that if I wanted the relationship I have now, I had to do those things in the past. And
Mhm.
sometimes it was hurtful and sometimes it was hard and sometimes I wanted more, but I knew I had to look at the bigger picture. And in the long run, if I wanted to be where we are, I had to let that happen. I had to give her her space. I had to give her her time. I think that's
Yeah.
so huge and probably really, really difficult, um, but really important.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so I have three questions that I ask every guest who comes on here. So before we close, I'm going to ask you those. Um, The first one is what's something unique about you that not very many people know, but you can't say that you're adopted this time.
That's true. I have to say something
You're like,
else.
shoot.
Um, I okay, two things
Okay.
actually. I love um like I don't know, like I guess I love solving things.
Mm.
Um I love escape rooms.
Okay.
So anything that entails that. Just I think growing up being very curious in general, I just always loved like investigating and detective shows and like all of those things was just something that I always love that. So anytime we play a game that has to do with like something like that or
Yeah.
like escape rooms, that is like I love for that. I
Yeah.
live for that. That's my favorite stuff ever. So
Love that.
I love doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then second, I actually love playing video games
Mm.
with my fiance
That's fun.
and our friends. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Not a lot of people know that, but I grew up playing like Halo and Minecraft like with my siblings and with my dad. And so that's something that I've always like even now that I'm an adult, like I still will play games together and it's just like a fun way to also like engage with our friends without having to
Yeah.
physically be with them. So
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Do you like murder mystery type movies then, since you like to solve that stuff? You should see
yes.
the new. Do you watch the Knives Out movies? Have you seen those?
Yes, I do.
There's a
I
new one.
yeah, and is there a new one?
There's a new one. Yeah, I think it's in theater right now. So, and it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun.
Well, I need to go see it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I love those movies.
Yeah, they're
And
really
like,
good.
have you seen I think it's called Escape Room. Like
Oh no.
there's two movies. It's a little more like I guess like psychological thriller kind of
Okay.
scary
Yeah,
type.
I'll have to look that one
But
up.
I loved watching yeah, anything like that. Like
Yeah,
they're really fun to watch. So,
yeah, I like those too. What is your favorite form of self care?
ooh. Um well, okay, so I for my job, I
Hmm.
basically I do that for other people, right?
Yeah.
Um it's kind of weird, but like my part of my form of self-care is taking care of other people. I always have loved doing that growing up. And so when I like do facials on someone, that to me is like rewarding because I'm able to give that person like that relaxing moment.
Hmm.
Um, so I love doing that. I love receiving facials.
Who doesn't?
That too, like just to have a moment to like relax and
Yeah.
not worry about anything else.
Hmm.
And then I love like sleep. I
Yeah.
love sleep, honestly.
That's a good
I
form of self care. That's important.
yeah, I get made fun of a lot from all of my friends of like we'll put on a movie and I will always fall asleep.
I think that's
I'm
a
out within
gift.
like 15 minutes. Yeah, and I can sleep anywhere. Like I'll sleep in the
Oh,
car, I'll sleep in the airport, I'll sleep literally anywhere wherever I will fall asleep all the time. So that's like a really big
that's a
thing for me,
huge
I
gift
guess.
because not very I don't have that. I'm the opposite and it's awful. I wish I could just sleep anywhere and everywhere. It seems glorious.
Yeah, it's honestly really nice sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I just need to stay awake." But I know if I get to that point where I'm like starting to fall asleep, I know like my body needs it and my brain needs it,
Yeah,
and
you
so
let it
I think that
happen.
I'm like, we'll just let it happen.
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite comfort show or movie?
So, I am kind of funny with TV shows. Growing up, I've always watched the same ones over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good at starting new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I either just love the ones that I've watched so many times or I just like that I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of fun. But one of those shows would be it's called Switched at Birth.
Oh,
Um,
wait, I
it's
feel
a
like I've
really
heard of that.
interesting, yeah, it's a
Is
really
it like a
interesting TV show.
docu series kind of thing, or like a
This
scripted
is like
show?
an actual, yeah, just like a regular TV show.
Okay.
They did do, I think, yeah, I've seen a documentary that was labeled switched at birth,
Yeah.
but this was a TV show that was like, I think it was made in like 2012.
Okay.
And it's about these two teenage girls. They find out at like age 15 that they were switched in the hospital
Oh my gosh.
at birth. And so they find out that, which to me, growing up adopted, it was like my favorite show to watch because
Mhm.
I got to relate on so many levels with
Yeah.
the characters and different things, and like growing up not looking like, like not looking like your parents or your siblings, and just having certain traits that ended up they found out that it was from their biological parents. So it's just a really cool TV show. If you haven't watched it,
Yeah, I
I mean, there's
haven't.
obviously some things that they put in there for like the drama aspect of things, but overall it was just a cool show to watch, to see not necessarily adopted, but like
Yeah.
kind of in their own way.
Well, there's just
And
not really shows about being
yeah,
adopted, so that makes sense that that was like one that was like kind of familiar in a way.
yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
I'll have to look that
exactly.
up. I've never heard of that. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for sharing your heart and your story with us, and hearing from both you and your birth mom really shows the beauty and complexities of adoption, and your insight as an adoptee adds a really important layer and a powerful layer to have a conversation about. And I just really appreciate you willing to be here. And I was so excited when I asked Heidi, I was like, do you think she'd come and be on it? And she was like, yeah, she will. I was so excited. I just think it's so cool to have you both on here
Yeah.
and share your stories. And you guys have a beautiful story and a beautiful family, so it's so great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks
Well, I
again.
appreciate you doing this too. I think this
Yeah.
is really cool that you're
Mm.
wanting to share these stories too, so other people can listen, and whether they're in the same situation or, similar, that it kind of helps them with that too.
Yes, exactly. We just hope, even if one person hears it, that it helps them in some way or connects them, makes them feel not alone.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
Yeah,
yeah, thank
for
you
sure.
so much. It was a pleasure
Awesome,
to
of
meet
course.
you. Thanks for joining us today. Adoption is very personal and looks different to each family. We'd love to hear about your own personal experiences and stories. Please email us your story at info@aguardianangel.com, and your story might be featured in a future episode. If you like what you've heard today, please leave a review and help us spread the word. Speaking of Adoption drops every other Tuesday. Subscribe today so you never miss a single episode. Speaking of Adoption is brought to you by A Guardian Angel Adoptions. If you or someone you know is experiencing unplanned pregnancy and you need to talk or get unbiased advice, our friendly and helpful staff is available to talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays. We look forward to speaking about adoption with you next week.